This is Soundcheck Videos. Hi, today on Soundcheck Videos, we're going to talk about the 10 things you should never do with a vintage tube amp. First, we'll talk about the dangerous things. You should never touch anything inside a vintage tube amp when it's turned on. The tubes are hot enough to blister your fingers. There's voltage inside of there that could kill you, so just don't do it. The second thing is you should never try to fix a vintage tube amp unless you absolutely know what you're doing. Even when the amp is unplugged and turned off, there's voltage and wattage inside of that could literally kill you. So just stay away from it. And also, you could totally damage the amp and make it almost unfixable. So never try to fix it unless you absolutely know what you're doing. Number 3, if your amp has a 2-prong cord, never touch anything else electrical around you. If you're playing your guitar and you grab a microphone or touch it with your mouth, you will become the conductor and it'll shock the heck out of you. It's usually just enough to kind of wake you up or scare the heck out of you, but I have heard of people getting really hurt doing that. Also, just don't put anything else electrical around you. I got shocked one time just turning a light switch off. I was touching my guitar and I went to turn off a light switch and I became the conductor and it shocked the heck out of me. So just don't put anything else around you when you're playing your guitar through a vintage amp, especially with the 2-prong cords. So that was the dangerous stuff. Now we'll just talk about the stuff that can damage your amp or is just really bad for it. Number 4, don't turn on your amp without your guitar plugged in or your speakers plugged in. That can actually damage your amp. Number 5 is don't play your guitar through your amp until your amp is completely warmed up. I know it's real tempting. You turn it on, you wait like 10 seconds, you start doing this to see if you can hear it, but you're actually damaging your amp when you do that. So what I usually do is I'll turn it on, I'll turn my volume all the way down on my guitar, tune my guitar, maybe play a couple riffs until I'm absolutely positive that it's warmed up. So never play your guitar through your amp until the amp is warmed up. Number 6 is don't swap tubes unless you're absolutely sure that you're doing the right thing. A lot of people will say, well, you can swap this one for that one, this kind of tube for that kind of tube. Just don't do it. I mean, it's really not worth it because you can damage your tube, you can damage your amp, and it's just not worth it. So don't swap tubes unless you're absolutely sure that that's the tube that belongs there. Number 7 is really important because I think most people don't know this. Never move a tube amp when it's hot. When the tubes are hot, they're really fragile because they're basically melted metal inside of there. So they're super fragile. So if you just pick it up and set it down hard, you can destroy your amp. So never move a tube amp when it's hot. Number 8 is similar to number 7. Don't change your tubes when they're hot. First off, they're hot enough to blister your fingers. But the main thing is you can damage them. It's the same reason. They're fragile when they're hot. So just wait a couple minutes, let them cool down, and then change them. So don't change your tubes when they're hot. Number 9, don't sell your vintage tube amp. The prices keep going up. If you sell it, you'll be sorry. I've talked to a number of people who 10 years ago, 20 years ago said, oh, I had this amp or that amp and the prices have skyrocketed. Just don't do it. Just use it, play it. The prices are going to go up. It's like a great investment. So don't sell your vintage tube amp. Number 10, and this is really important to me, never play anything digital through a vintage tube amp. It's just wrong. So that's the top 10 things you should never do with a vintage tube amp. If you have a suggestion for an 11 or 12, just leave a comment and we'll pass it on. So thanks a lot for checking out Soundcheck Videos and have a wonderful day.